Hey everybody, welcome to this week's podcast. There's no special announcements or anything, so let's jump right in. First up is a new level editor for the Sega Master System version of Sonic the Hedgehog 1. This project had been around for a while, but was recently revived by Maxim from SMS Power, mostly at the moment at least, to assist with Sonic Genesis for Master System, which is a project that's taking some of the assets from the Genesis version of Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and trying to port them over to the 8-bit platform. And that's impressive for a couple of different reasons. First, the obvious, you're trying to run 16-bit assets on an 8-bit console, but also they were two completely different games, so it might be neat to see the original Sonic Master System with newer graphics, but it might also be cool to have the levels from the Genesis version ported over just for fun. And I think more importantly, projects like this always end up contributing to bigger things. So at the moment, a Sonic 1 editor is kind of neat, and I can't wait to see the finished version of Sonic Genesis for Master System, which I haven't talked about yet because there isn't a playable demo available and it's constantly getting updated. You can follow the project on SMS Power if you're interested, but it's not just for stuff like that. These things often lead to other projects, which then lead to brand new games. So I'm always excited to see the tools out there and available, especially when they're made available like Maxim did in open source, so that anybody could kind of contribute and help out with these things. Or you could just, download it and mess around with changing around Sonic 1 for Master System just for fun. There's also the ability to export and import graphics into a PNG format, which might make things easier for more of the beginners. I don't even think I could probably use this software, even with my tech knowledge, just because I'm not a programmer and not a game creator. But if I ever were to want to do something like this is the exact type of software that I would want to sit down and take a look at. So if you want a brief overview of what to expect, definitely check out Nicole's post. And also a thank you and a shout out to Nicole, because I wanted to present this project properly, but I'm not a game programmer. So I wanted to make sure that I explained it right, and I didn't want to just fumble out some awkward couple paragraphs telling people to go check out the project. I really appreciated that a programmer was able to write it in their own words so that you could kind of hear it from their perspective. So shout out and a thanks to Nicole for doing this one for me. I think she did a way better job than I would have. And of course, thanks to Maxim for making it happen and reviving the project. There's a new version of the Pseudo Saturn Kai software available that adds a bunch of bug fixes and compatibility fixes, as well as save data management for people using the Satiator, and even a newer menu including nested file browsing support for people using the Fenrir optical drive emulator. So this is one of those things that, if you're using it, you should always just use the latest version, and if you have an ODE, it should be even easier to update. If you're still running on CD-ROMs, it might be a pain to burn the latest version to a CDR, so definitely check out Alex's post and see if any of the updates are stuff that you would really benefit from if you're still using a CDR. And if you're unsure what Pseudo Saturn Kai is, it's a set of software that you could flash onto an action replay cart for the Saturn, or other carts that were specifically designed just to run it or other software. And I initially started using it when I wanted to use either games from other regions on my Saturn or just backup CDRs, homebrew, and stuff like that. But it's really grown to be a set of tools that has a bunch of different uses. So if you're a Saturn power user, you probably already have it. And for whatever reason, if you don't, please check out the post. And if you're just a casual Saturn user, I still might kind of peruse the features because it does go hand in hand with some of the different optical drive emulation stuff that you could use that might offer some other features or just easier ways to get things running. So if you're a Saturn fan, definitely check this one out. And as always, thanks to the team for continuing to put really awesome work into this. It's something that I've used for a long time, and I think many other Saturn fans have as well. RetroBit have just opened pre-orders on an official licensed reproduction of the Sega Genesis game Gaiares. Pre-orders will be open from now until December 19th, and it's $55 plus shipping for the game. It is a collector's edition that comes with a bunch of other stuff, and while I do always kind of wish there were two versions, a collector's version and then just a really nice case and cartridge, I think this one really knocks it out of the park with all of the different things that come with it. So first and foremost, the most important thing about it. The PCB is done correctly, designed by Renee from DB Electronics. It will have beveled edges, hard gold fingers on it, and it will run at the proper voltage. So no matter what, you could use this game in all Genesis and probably most clone consoles as well, and it should work totally fine. Also, it's going to come in a clear plastic case for the shell itself, which is always neat. I always appreciate being able to look in and kind of seeing the beautiful electronics that have been designed. And it should also have a case with a reversible label and a slip cover on top of it as well. So the very basics are covered, and if it's anything like RetroBit's other releases that have been coming out, it should be awesome. I'm really a fan of a lot of the stuff that they've been doing. Not all, but a lot of the stuff. And it just seems like they're a company that's really trying to get this right. They're not just trying to do the cheapest possible cash grab. They're actually trying to give you something a little bit more and something special, which leads me to the kind of really cool part. So the original person who was doing all of the ads and was the spokesperson for the original Gaiares was on the cover of a magazine, and the person's name is Jamie Bunker. And not only did they find Jamie and ask him to recreate the same picture, but they're also shipping a free t-shirt with the game that's the same t-shirt Jamie has on here. So I thought that was such a really cool and really neat addition that just it was so much fun, and I don't think anybody's ever done anything like that before. So, you have Jamie sans mullet here with a new cover and holding the RetroBit version of the game. You also have an interview with Jamie, and you have the exact t-shirt that he's wearing. So I thought that was really cool. If you'd like any more info on it, check out the post in the video, and links to everything that you want would be right in the description. And if you're listening to this audio only, just go to retrorgb.link/Gaiares, Gaiares, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, and I'm very sorry. I never mean to do that on purpose. Rockstar Games claims that they will soon be relisting the Grand Theft Auto Trilogy on their store in light of all of the complaints of the new version of it. So a million people have covered this, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, please check out the Digital Foundry review because you'll have all of the info you need. But basically, Rockstar Games released Grand Theft Auto 3 Definitive Edition, and it's very broken. At the same time that they did that, they took the original versions off of their PC store, leaving the only choice being the newer broken version. So Rockstar Games issued an apology. They said there's patches being released to fix the new one, although from what I've heard, they don't really fix much, or at least the patches that have been released so far. And they also said that they will be relisting the original trilogy on their store. The last time I checked, it wasn't up there yet, but it is in their official press release, so we can only hope that they're up there. So this is a weird one. I'm not going to get into it because there are so many people that are much more knowledgeable than me, and I was, it's not my place to say, but basically it just seems like, a company really rushed out this remake, and it stinks for everybody. And I think the only thing I will say is it's super easy to blame the developers and the team working on it when things like this happen. But I've certainly been part of things, and unfortunately, I may have been the boss in situations like this where you have to just sometimes say, hey, we ran out of time. That's our lower priority. We got to just get it out the door and hope for the best. We got to hope that the repercussions of shipping it not as good won't be worse than delaying the other project. So you got to just get it done. And, I've done that before myself, and 4 out of 5 times it was absolutely the right move. And the time that it's not, it's devastating. And you start questioning your own judgment. You start rethinking things, and you overanalyze. At least you do if you care about your job and your reputation. And it's luckily for me, I've always come back to say that was the move I had to make. I wish I didn't, but I could only imagine that there's a team of people that are going through something similar. Or Rockstar Games is filled with psychopaths who just don't care. I don't know. I'm not part of the team, but I would really strongly like to think the first one over the second. So it's very easy to just buy something and go, this is junk. What's wrong with you? And you should, you bought it. You're entitled to your opinion on it. I just always like to root for the underdog, and I always like to remember that there's another side of things, and there's other people that are listening to you talk about them who are a part of this. So, that level-headedness I think should apply to everything, not just this situation. Like I said, I don't really know all of the gory details, and the DF Retro video and Alex's post should probably get you brought up to speed if you want just a quick refresher. But yeah, but blame the company as a whole, not the individual devs, I think is a more fair way to look at this. But just my opinion. John from Space Pirate Prince has just released a 3D printed case for the Zelda Game & Watch handhelds that were just released. You could either purchase the case directly from John, or the files are available to make your own if you would like, which is something that I always really appreciate. I would never tell any store ever to you have to open source your designs, but I do like to see the option out there, because while there's many people that would love to support John, if you don't live in the same country, if just, you already bought a 3D printer and a bunch of filament and you don't have any money left, there's a bunch of very reasonable situations in which you would much rather just print your own. Or heck, you might want to print one just to see if you even like it, and then, use cheap material and then buy his higher quality ones if you decided something really cool. Either way, you have the choice, which I'm very appreciative of. The 3D printed files are there, and there's even files for the Super Mario Game & Watch, which I believe was released last year. You will need a magnet for the case. So even if you print your own, I left a link to the exact magnets John used, and they're fairly cheap, and it's kind of neat. It kind of makes the case like click shut. I've seen these in person before, and they're pretty cool. Not specifically the new Zelda one, but I've seen stuff like this, and I've seen John's work. And if you need a case for your Game & Watch, this is definitely pretty cool. Also, if you've been following the Game & Watch jailbreaking, it seems like they've just added support for the Zelda version as well, so you might be able to do things like add new games or change things around. I owned one yet, and I haven't really got into it, because the last time that I heard about this, a team was working on some really, really cool stuff for it that seems to have stalled out. I would have loved to have seen that FPGA replacement board for it. Now, obviously, we're in a global part shortage. Parts have quadrupled in price, if not more, and it's almost impossible to get them. So there's an excellent chance that there's a finished version of that product somewhere that no one's released because you can't really get it yet. So just wanted to put that out there, that if you were into Game & Watch hacking, there have been support for this added, but I'm not sure how much is available. But hey, if you've already hacked yours and you know what else you could be, people could do with it, please comment, because I would also like to hear from you if you have some good or bad experiences with that, because I do like all kinds of modding and hacking. And these Game & Watch things are pretty neat and not too expensive. So it might be a really fun thing for both somebody that wants a cool gift and especially a nerd that likes hacking stuff. Crix has just released a new firmware update for the EverDrive N8 Pro that has a few bug fixes and some other additions, but I think the most interesting addition is a recovery slot for save states. So every time that you overwrite an existing save state, it will copy that overwritten one to save slot number 99. So picture this, right? You're a speedrunner that wants to practice the same spot of a game over and over, or maybe you're like me and occasionally you want to grab footage of an exact part of a game. So you get to that game and you save your state and you do what you need to do, and then you go to load that state again and you hit the wrong button combination and overwrite that save. Up until now, you're just screwed. You got to go back to the other part in the game. You have to go previous before that. And, it's time consuming and annoying and frustrating. Well, if you do that now, all you have to do is go to save slot number 99, restore that one, and then just resave under whatever slot number you had before, and that's it. So it's kind of like a recycle bin for your save states. I stole that from Clint, by the way, so shout out to that analogy, but I liked that one a lot. So I thought that was a very cool feature and something that anybody who uses save states would really appreciate. I normally don't use them for gaming. I probably should for older games that I just don't have time to sit through and play start to finish. But save states and trading save states with people is something that I really want to get more into because of exactly what I just explained. All the times I want footage of exact parts of games, and I don't want to spend an hour getting there. So it would be very cool to do that. Save state repositories, save game repositories, and a whole bunch of other stuff is something I really want to work on in the future. And I think it's something everybody might benefit from. So Anyway, if you have an EverDrive, this is kind of a no-brainer. Definitely just update it. And if you're unfamiliar with what these are, the EverDrive N8 is a ROM cart for either the NES or the Famicom. There's one for each version of the console. However, if you have cartridge adapters, you could use one on both. And they are Crix's latest version of that. The original EverDrive N8 was mostly phased out for this Pro version, which adds a whole bunch of new features. Check out the links and you could see the differences between each. But it's just basically another really well done EverDrive. And if you're a big fan of the NES and original hardware, I would absolutely recommend picking this one up. Team VU Engine has just released a demo for an upcoming game they're working on for the Virtual Boy called Formula V. And this is a top-down racer, kind of like RC Pro-Am or maybe Micro Machines or something. And I had the chance to try it out, and I absolutely loved it. The 3D effects on it are incredible. I was so impressed by that. And especially the thing where you're looking at the game and the road has like grates in it. So you could see through the road to the bottom, but you could also see the depth of the cars and the track. And I thought it was so well done and really impressive. Now, there's a huge problem when I try to talk about Virtual Boy games in that you can't really see them in 2D the way that they look in the Virtual Boy. And not only that, a lot of the tricks that this team has used for blending colors to make it look like there's more than a few shades of red don't really come out in emulation that well, or even through the virtual tap. You really have to see it. So, and on top of that, the video that I embedded in here is just a basic capture uploaded to the website. So it's not the perfect example. So just take that video with a grain of salt and just remember that the Virtual Boy, it is what it is, right? If the games are well done, I think it's incredible. If the game's bad, then the game's bad no matter what system it's on. But I thought the demo was really awesome. There's a few things to keep in mind, though. First and foremost, it is just a demo still. The game is not done yet. So don't hold any little stuff against it. There are a few minor complaints that I'm sure will be worked out, like the difficulty is way too hard on its easiest setting. I had to play for like 20-30 minutes to get first place, and I only got it once. Any type of racing game, you should at least ease yourself into it, and I don't think there's any chance in hell I could get first place at the highest difficulty setting. Also, the sound wasn't done yet. They said that right in their post, so I wasn't expecting anything. I certainly wasn't disappointed because they warned you going in. But that's just something to note, that the music that's in the title screen is awesome, but there is no music while racing. And overall, though, this is exactly what I want out of the Virtual Boy. It's such a fun, awesome game. The controls could be tweaked a little bit. The things could be a little clearer. Like I couldn't figure out how to get boost going for a while, but apparently you just tap both triggers once your boost is builded. Wow. Once your boost is built up. But this has all of the signs and potential to be a really, really cool game. So, anybody that's even remotely interested in Virtual Boy, check this out. And I'd like to spend some time in the future working on Virtual Boy emulation some more, because like I was saying before about you need to see it in 3D to appreciate it. I'm wondering how it really looks on modern VR solutions. And the last time I tried connecting emulation to a modern 3D TV was like 6 or 7 years ago, and it wasn't that great. So I imagine if I took the time to use the latest versions of whatever emulators are out there, it'll probably be way different. So expect some alternative Virtual Boy content in the future to try to figure out ways to I'm always going to appreciate it and prefer to play it on original hardware, but not everybody wants to deal with that. And if you already have a VR solution now, or even a 3D TV, there should be a fairly easy way to at least sort of experience it. So I'll get to that soon, hopefully by the end of the year. But no matter what, if you're into the Virtual Boy, please check out their post on Patreon. And it's a public post. So even though it's on their Patreon, which I hope you support if you're a big fan, anybody could read it just by clicking on it. So thanks very much to the team, and I'm really looking forward to play the final version whenever it's done. I just posted an interview with Maxim, who is a main contributor to SMS Power, as well as part of a bunch of different projects in the retro gaming scene. And I've actually been corresponding with Maxim for a very long time now, before RetroRGB was even a thing, before I even thought up the name with Cousin Scott. I've been on that forum for, pretty much forever since it was around. And while I was mostly a lurker at first and just used the data for my own projects and stuff like that, Maxim is somebody who I've always kind of just corresponded with. And like a lot of the interviews I've done, this was the first time that we ever got to actually talk and have a real conversation. And it didn't disappoint. It was a lot of fun. Maxim is very chill and easy to talk to. Probably the fact that we've been talking for so long might have helped that a little bit, but it still was, a great chat and one I very much enjoyed. And I think if you're into the Sega Master System at all, you would probably enjoy hearing us talk about that as well, because we all have our own personal memories from that. And hearing Maxim's point of view on a bunch of these things is certainly awesome. And, it's always cool to talk to people who are experts in their field. So this was just really enjoyable. It came out kind of late. I've been trying to release these longer form podcasts on Monday mornings, but the way I kind of do things is I'm very strict getting these out on Wednesday mornings. If the only times these haven't been out Wednesday morning has been like a very big problem or issue. I'm never casual about this. I'm always pretty strict. And I try to get the Q&As every Friday and, try to release them a day early to supporters. And I'm not so strict about that, but I'm pretty darn good. I've only missed a few, but these, I don't like to rush interviews. I don't like to pressure people. And sometimes my schedule is just messed up, which is what happened this time. This was totally my fault. So, I guess these aren't always going to be Monday mornings, but maybe I have a few friends who will be willing to do some more generic podcasts with me where we don't focus on topical things, where I could have a couple just kind of waiting for weeks that I miss, because I liked the schedule that I've been doing so far with the 3 podcasts a week, and I really, really like talking to and meeting other people in the retro gaming scene, especially people like Maxim, who've been around for a long time and contributed so much. So if you're into the SMS at all, please consider this one. If nothing else, check out the post with links to everything Maxim's been up to, a bunch of very cool projects, and also the whole Space Harrier thing. Remute, I don't know if you listen to these, but I think that you should take a listen to this and reach out if you want any details. But I think there could be potentially a Remute song in the future using this method to get some pretty neat music out of the Sega Master System. Sorry to call you out and put pressure on you like this, but I'm a huge fan of your music, so get mad if you'd like, but I meant that as a compliment. Well, that's it for this week. As always, thanks so much to everybody that watches, listens, plays nicely in the comments, and especially thank you to everybody who supports on any of the support services, because it is you who is keeping all of this stuff alive. The weekly podcasts, the posts, the website, and all of the behind-the-scenes research and development, which is like half the time I spend on these things. I love doing all of it, and none of it could be possible without your support. So thank you all so much, and I'll see you next week.